You're listening to the Bob and Bo Show. Here are your hosts, Ty Bob, Ty Bo, and Sean. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am Ty Bob, joined by Ty Bo and Sean, coming at you on Thanksgiving. If you're driving around, headed to eat some turkey, enjoy some time with family and friends, we hope you have the best of day, and we hope you wore the correct pants. It's never, there's nothing worse than wearing
nothing with buttons.
Pants.
Nothing with buttons and zippers, all elastic.
Wear your stretchy pants, put on a comfy t-shirt. Nobody cares what you look like, how you dress. You're going to be drinking, eating, and watching ball. And we hope you
just
have
go in your underwear.
I'd be fine with that. Done that a few years. Well, folks, we are coming back at week 12. The Kansas City Chiefs will play the Los Angeles Rams at home at 3:25. And we have got some news about this week's game so far. To start us off from Adam Schefter, the Chiefs have placed running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire on injured reserve due to that high ankle sprain that we were talking about on the last show. So it is something that is fairly serious. We kind of notated that it might be something to watch out for, and it clearly was. He is out for a minimum of 4 weeks. Not only coming from Adam Teicher, not only will it be Clyde going on the injured reserve, but Kadarius Toney and Joe Thuney will not be working out on Wednesday as the team begins its practice week. Juju was scheduled to practice on Wednesday. I believe he did. It was a limited participation. He went through his own drills as he moves to the end of concussion protocol to be hopefully back out on the field on Sunday. So
you made it sound like you were about to say that Thuney and Tony were going on the IR. So
well, that's what Adam Teicher made the tweet sound like. He said, including Clyde going on the IR, Tony and Thuney. And I was like, oh, geez, they're both going on the IR? That sucks. So maybe get it together, Adam Teicher.
I'm pretty sure Thuney was just rest.
I did not see if he was injured, but we'll come up on that a little bit. He does have an ankle injury.
If they designated the injury, it's to rest him for that injury. I don't think he's having a problem.
Last bit of news here before we get into the injury report, which will come here in a few more minutes. But last little bit of news, Adam Schefter had reported that the Rams head coach Sean McVay had ruled out quarterback Matthew Stafford for Sunday's game versus the Chiefs due to what the team believes as a strained neck. So injuries all over the road. You know, we're a little bit more than midway through the season. It's injury season for most of these teams, so we'll have to see how they stack up and how some of these teams can get through. But so far, it looks like we're missing a few key players, as well as the Rams will be missing their starting quarterback. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving, folks. And so that means that Tybo has a special top 5 for you today.
You know what's coming. Oh, sorry. Don't mind this. This is just an ice pack wrapped around my hand. Guys, it had to be done. We've chatted about this. Fans listening to the show should have assumed it was coming. I'm giving you my top 5 Thanksgiving dishes. You know, I may have missed out on my top 5 Halloween candy when it came to that holiday, but I am on top of it when it comes to Thanksgiving. I am a full-grown adult and finally contributed to Family Thanksgiving last year. I'm bringing the same dish again this year. Yes, I'm a full-grown adult. But with all that being said, I have 2 honorable mentions on this list. The reason why they are honorable mentions is because from person to person, from family to family, it varies. These 2 dishes, these 2 staples of a Thanksgiving meal vary. So, the degree in variance is ridiculous because you can really, really mess them up, and you can also really, really just knock it out of the park. These two Thanksgiving staples deserve to be on the list, but I've also had some really, really bad batches. That's going to be mashed potatoes, gravy, and turkey. Now, you can put gravy on turkey. You can eat turkey by itself. You can put gravy on mashed potatoes. You can eat mashed potatoes by itself. All three individually are great. All three individually are very, I'm not necessarily hard, but I guess finicky. Like some people don't do them well. I've had very, very bad clumpy gravies. I've had dry turkey, and I've had clumpy and hard mashed potatoes. I don't want any of that.
If you're making mashed potatoes wrong, you should not be even doing that ever again.
You'd be surprised, man. I've it's even from like restaurants. You'd be surprised. Bad mashed potatoes, like even if they're like, I mean, if they're mid, they still feel like bad mashed potatoes because, like you said, mashed potatoes should be able to. You should be able to do that, no problem. But those are my honorable mentions. They all three kind of go hand in hand because sometimes I'm just eating it all together in a pile on my plate.
How it's done.
Taters,
Mix your
gravy,
food,
and
people.
turkey. Yeah,
Grow up. Mix it
but
together.
like a moist turkey is fantastic. I most of the time, if it's done really well, I can eat it on its own. I do like turkey. Maybe a little bit of cranberry sauce. But moving into the list, number 5, I got the All-American apple pie. Now, this can also vary from maker to maker, but I feel like apple pie is a little bit more consistent than the taters, turkey, and gravy. If the turkey and the mashed potatoes are bad, I usually can still look forward to a good piece of apple pie at the end of my meal. So warm scoop of ice cream, it's like the perfect dessert for the day. I mean, really and truly should be the best dessert at Thanksgiving, but thanks to my wife's mother, pumpkin cheesecake is my number 4.
Ooh.
Dude, when I had her pumpkin cheesecake, I was like, just set pumpkin pie outside by the door. Like, let somebody else take the pumpkin pie off the front porch or something because we can just have that. And I got my pumpkin fix. I love cheesecake. Pumpkin pie was great. It was a childhood favorite of mine, but the pumpkin cheesecake just surpassed it. Just set it over the top. And my wife made another one for tomorrow. So
I need that recipe, please.
I'm excited. I'll talk to Shelly. I don't know if she's into giving up her recipes like that. I'll ask. Number 3, highly debatable. This one gets the fans going. Good or bad. Some people like it. Some people hate it. GBC, green bean casserole. Number 3, the crispy onions on top, the mushroom, the just like something about cooked and soggy green beans. I mean, that texture of green bean is where they're the best. Like I'll take that over a fresh, like crisp green bean any day.
You can't leave out the French's crunchies on top too, man.
That's what I'm saying. I said crunchy onions on top. That was the first thing I mentioned.
I know, but that's what pulls all that in. It's the soggy green bean with the crunchy onion.
Well, yeah,
that's what brings it.
It's a great bite. It's a great bite. It makes you just think Thanksgiving. You look like you had something to say there, Sean. Okay. Number 2. This is the dish that I made last year for the first time, bringing something to family Thanksgiving. I will be making it again tomorrow, bringing it over to my parents' house. But my baked mac and cheese. Talked about it before on this show. I shoot for a 5 cheese mac and cheese. And I start with a roux to make a cheese sauce. And then it's baked on top with breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs have a ranch packet mixed in. Depending on the surface area, I may need 2 ranch packets because you got to have that ranch flavor there. But toast those breadcrumbs on top, get it just a little bit golden brown. And I mean, another great bite, like the green bean casserole. The toasted breadcrumbs on top with the cheesy mac underneath is a good Thanksgiving bite for
I've been
sure.
told a key to mac and cheese is using canned cheese soup. It doesn't add or take away any of the flavor. What it does is make sure that everything stays moist, so it's gushy no matter how many times you have to reheat it. So you make sure that you put it in there, it'll form to any of the flavors that you have going on. It just makes sure that every single bite is moist no matter what.
Well, I might be going to the store after this and grabbing a can of cheese soup. Although I've never heard of that before, but
Campbell's, baby.
Campbell's cheese soup,
Cheese or cheddar, however they want to label it.
cheddar soup. Can you guys guess what my number one is? I want to know what you guys think it's going to be.
No, I guess it's stuffing.
I would say
That's
stuffing.
it.
It's up there.
So, was a childhood favorite of mine. I've always loved stuffing. My family, my grandma used to do it in like the big sheet. It would be like stovetop stuffing type thing, not like stuffing that's actually been inside of a turkey. But it was still always my favorite. My mom started doing them in the muffin tins, and if she hears this, this is going to be the way I'm telling you, Mom. It gets too crispy around the outside of the muffin tins, and it gets hard. Not the best. The moist stuff in the middle, like in the middle of everything, when it's baked all together, that's the best part. But Shelly Pop, my wife's mom, makes a stuffing for Thanksgiving that has like Italian sausage in it. And I mean,
Best kind.
the little bits of that sausage are so chewy once you get it in a bite, and like I don't know what else she puts into it, but it's like there's a couple little quirky things in there that aren't very traditional or normal, and it's so freaking good, so good.
The best.
And I mean, anytime you get authentic stuffing that's actually cooked in the turkey and pulled out, and you get some innards, the turkey heart, the turkey liver alongside it. That is my shit. I eat turkey heart. I love the heart. If it was his own dish, it might be on the top five, but it's not. But that's what my top five is. Call me out. Say what you got to say. Tell me what your favorite Thanksgiving foods are, but I'm not changing mine.
This man eats turkey heart and turkey liver.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, call him out. I want to see some engagement on that.
If you want to
Eat the
disrespect
innards.
GBC, I'll fight you.
That's the heated one. That's the most controversial one out there.
Two questions. Cranberry sauce, yes or no?
Yes. And I'll take canned or homemade.
Really?
I think both are good.
You can really mess up some homemade though.
But yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess it's not supposed to be that many ingredients. Like it's less than 10 ingredients to make a cranberry
You
sauce.
still mess it up though, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't use a whole lot. Like a little bit goes a long way when it comes to cranberry sauce. But it's one of those things that like originally made me like mint and lamb. I was like, I don't know how that goes together, but cranberry and turkey actually does work.
Sean?
Yes or no to cranberry sauce?
Yes.
So my family usually doesn't have traditional Thanksgiving meals, but we don't have cranberry sauce. So the times I do get it, I really don't have it because I'm not used to it. Tried it a few times, good every once in a while, but
it's okay.
It's
good to go on the dinner rolls for the post meal sandwich.
Oh yeah. A Thanksgiving version of a Monte Cristo, dude. Let's go.
And, so last year I was in Chicago. I'm going again, but my brother-in-law has the Uni pizza maker. It's a wood stove pizza maker, and so he makes his own by hand, his own dough, everything. We made a leftover Thanksgiving pizza with cranberry sauce as the marinara. So it was prime. Last question here: white or dark meat?
All of it.
Yeah.
Now, okay. For the post meal sandwiches, white meat. I'll probably eat the dark meat first, but I don't prefer one over the other. I will eat whatever. But a good slice of that breast, that white meat breast that's still moist, like you can push into it and like some of the juices are coming out. That might be my favorite bite of turkey, though. That might be it. So I probably lean. I like save the white meat. I probably lean towards white meat, but I'll eat it all.
I like it. Well, like I said, folks, Kansas City Chiefs play against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday at 3:25. It is the 27th, so you don't have to worry about your team kicking off and playing on Thanksgiving. We just get to sit back and relax and watch all these other teams destroy themselves. We do have a little bit of go ahead.
Well, yeah. Before we get to the injuries, this game is in Arrowhead. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
And we have somebody who is creeping up on the list of most touchdowns scored in Arrowhead. I'm hoping you'll get this up on the YouTube because it's in our chat now. But there was a list tweeted out earlier this week about the players um, who have the most touchdowns in Arrowhead, and there's just a couple of things I wanted to say about it. Number one is my favorite Chief of all time, Priest Holmes, with 43. Travis Kelce is tied with Tony Gonzalez right now at 41. I have a feeling. I mean, not even a feeling. There's no doubt in my mind Travis Kelce is going to have that record at the end of this year, and he could very easily have it on Sunday because he's been having those 3 and 4 touchdown games, and who knows what could happen. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see this dude pulling 5 touchdowns. To be completely honest, he is the focal point of the passing offense. But right under Travis Kelce is a player that I don't show a whole lot of love to. Larry Johnson with 38. He is above Jamal Charles, Tyreek Hill, Marcus Allen, Christian Okoye, Dwayne Bowe, Dante Hall. Just some names to throw out there. So my disdain for Larry Johnson has gotten in the way of how good of a Chief he actually was. And so I wanted to apologize to Larry Johnson. His 38 touchdowns scored in Arrowhead most of the time weren't for a team with a winning record, but he still has his place in Chiefs history.
Part of that was brought on himself. But you are right. I mean, you look at these names and it's pretty wild. I mean, you can sit here and see Kareem Hunt. He's ranked 15th with 16 touchdowns in Arrowhead, which is pretty wild given that he was only here for 2.5 years. It just kind of shows.
Shout out Tony Richardson, who has one more touchdown than him in Arrowhead.
Surprisingly, McCole Hardman has 12 touchdowns in Arrowhead. Ranked tied for 20th, or excuse me, tied for 18th. Wild. Never would have thought that.
He's got a handful this year, so like he's jumped up quite a ways probably this year.
Hey, if anybody can do it, Travis can do it in just one game. I think it's definitely possible. Let's get into this injury report like we were talking about, folks. We've got a little bit going on here. Starting with the Kansas City Chiefs. We already talked about Joe Thuney, who has an ankle issue. He was a non-participant on Wednesday, along with Kadarius Toney, who has that hamstring injury. We had a light practice from Juan Thornhill. He was taken out early in the previous game against the Chargers with a calf injury. Everybody else on this list was a full participant on Wednesday's practice. Nick Bolton with a hamstring, Chris Lamons with a concussion, Lucas Niang with his knee, Juju, who's also in concussion protocol, Jalen Watson with his hand, Jerick McKinnon with his hamstring shoulder issues, and L'Jarius Sneed with the knee issue. All were full practices on Wednesday, so that's very good news. It's not good news to have Joe Thuney out, although if it's mainly for rest, that makes me feel pretty confident. What about you guys?
Yeah, it looks like he's trending towards playing another great interior lineman that we have that is having a great year. So hopefully it is just that late in the year, probably about time for him. He's a little bit older than everybody else in that line as well. So
Well, let's jump over to the Rams really quickly here. We've got a few popping up. Obviously, the quarterback situation, which is not good down there, but you've also got the um, I believe it's the center, Brian Allen, with a thumb injury, non-participant. Tyler Higbee, tight end, with a knee injury, non-participant. Offensive tackle, Ty Nasiki, ankle. Ashawn Robinson, knee. There's a few more there. A couple of other offensive linemen that are having issues. There were a few light practices. One from Traven Howard, another from Allen Robinson. It just, they are not having the best of time. Let's see who else we've got here. It was light practice from offensive lineman Matt Skura, and then a possible issue with backup quarterback John Walford, who had that neck injury as well. I believe they have already named their starting quarterback. It was their third stringer who comes, I believe, from the XFL in previous years. So, not looking very good for the Rams, who are already having issues outside of just injuries this season. I don't know. Talk to me a little bit about that, Tybo. I mean, obviously, we're not too worried about the Rams, but what a fall from grace.
Yeah, it sucks to see. But I mean, they sold out for. I mean, maybe sold out isn't the right phrase, but I mean, they went for it. They went all in last year, and they got their ring. And for teams that weren't built for the long run, like they added veteran pieces. They had a lot of guys on short deals. So like I mean, they really their window wasn't that big, and they really sold out for the shot last year. So it's I feel like it's actually pretty common for the teams that do that after their Super Bowl appearance or win, however it may be. So it's not too much of a surprise that this is happening. Um, I think the unfortunate part is Matt Stafford's fall from grace and the injury hit problems that he had. He had Tommy John surgery in the offseason, right?
That I don't know.
would you really call it a fall from grace though? They only had like that one good year with the Rams.
That Matt Stafford was a great quarterback for the Lions.
Fantastic
I'm not saying he
quarterback.
wasn't, but this is Lions quarterback Matt Stafford right now that we're seeing, not Rams Matt Stafford from last year.
I don't even know if we can say it's Lions Matt Stafford. I know a lot of people have been comparing this year to his years in Detroit, but really for the most part, even in Detroit, he was he was really good. He was just surrounded by an awful supporting cast. And to be fair, he's surrounded by an awful supporting cast right now. If we go and look at the I think his computer cowboy always puts out the statistics for the Rams right now. They have got the worst offensive line in the league this year, and it's also the worst offensive line that the Lions have had going back to Jared Goff's rookie year by
Rams.
excuse me, the Rams by large margins. Not this isn't some minuscule thing. Like they are bad across all fronts, and the only reason I say a fall from grace is because they won the Super Bowl. That is the peak that you can get to.
Yeah.
It's a fall from grace in that sense, as they were up there competing, and they were for a couple of years.
All right, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
And really the supporting cast that is detrimental to his play is the offensive line because I believe the skill position players could get it done if they had a serviceable offensive line. But his play just severely, even with all the pressure that he has to deal with, his play has dropped off severely. And whether it was Tommy John surgery or not, he had some sort of surgery in the offseason, and it was, I believe, his throwing arm. So it's definitely affected him, and he just isn't the same Matt Stafford, even from a year ago.
It's not looking good for him. Could probably be on the way out the door. It seems the Rams did everything to get the one ring, and you can't really blame them either. If you got a shot at one ring for the next 20 years, you take the shot at the ring, especially if you've just moved and built yourself a couple $1 billion stadium. I can't blame them or fault them for trying to go out there and capitalize as much as possible as quickly as possible.
Well, and did they win that one in their home stadium too?
They did.
Yeah. So that's another reason to kind of use what you got to get there.
Well, let's jump into Sunday's game. Sean, what are some of the things that we should expect from this game, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm expecting this to be a blowout. Not expecting it to be that close at all, really. This is the third string quarterback for the Rams, and as long as their defense shows up and does a little bit, I don't see them scoring many points, if any at all.
Nowhere near the 2018 game, huh?
Nowhere near it.
Maybe our score.
Maybe.
I think if he gets to that point, Andy's gonna pull everybody out. Let the young guys try to figure something out there.
I wouldn't be surprised. That would be nice to see.
I would say to expect the offensive line play to be the best that we have seen yet this season. We've seen a couple really good games. Mainly I think the best offensive line game that we have seen so far was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this one is going to be by and large the best game we see. And that goes even as far as saying I think Aaron Donald, I would say expect Aaron Donald to get absolutely shut down. If you are running an IDP league for fantasy and you've got Aaron Donald, you might want to find a replacement for this week. He's not going to do anything.
Bold statements there, guy. I
We'll
would
see if it pays off for him.
I would also say that we should expect a pretty good game from the offensive line because for the most part they had a really good showing last week, and outside of Aaron Donald, I don't think they have the players on the edge that match who the Chargers have. So the tackles should be fine. The Creed, Tooney, and Trey Smith are going to have their hands full. But if there's a three-man unit that can shut down Aaron Donald collectively, it's those three. To be real, I would honestly say, oh boy, expect. Oh, what do we expect? What can I say that hasn't already been said? Um,
Make a bold claim.
I'm gonna say with the problems with their offensive line and having a replacement quarterback in, we're gonna have at least 3 turnovers on the day. Expect
We're going to win the turnover battle by 3.
who knows? Pat's been a little loose with the ball lately, so I'm all I'm calling is the defense is going to have 3 turnovers.
More fumbles or picks?
2 fumbles, 1 pick.
You love calling the fumbles, man.
I mean, let's take a look at some of the stats that are coming from the Rams right now. They are averaging 16.8 points per game. Um, they have 18 total touchdowns. Not good. Not good at all. They have 175 first downs through 12 weeks. Still pretty poor on the low end. Their third down efficiency is below 50%. They do have a high fourth down efficiency. They've gone for it 11 times and made it 8. So they can convert when the yardage gets short. Don't forget that they did waive Daryl Henderson and now are only left with Cam Akers and a rookie in the backfield. Offensively, It's just not looking good for these guys. Their total yards of offense is 313 yards per game, uh, well under what we expect of this team, and I would say should be well under um, that in this game. That would be an expectation for me. Do we expect, while we're still on the offense, Juju Smith-Schuster to play this week?
I do, yeah. Seeing that he was a full participant today for whatever he did, he's on the right track. He had last week out. Feel like he's coming right back for it.
The return to practice is promising. I would say it's probably not a guarantee just yet, but I would expect to see him on the field.
Should we expect to see or not Clyde, excuse me, Sky Moore's snap count continue to go up, given the trend that he set or the pace that he set last week?
I think a big thing that's going to impact that is Kadarius Toney's health. If KT is playing, it's probably not going to go up. But without Kadarius Toney, I think there's room for Sky Moore to stay involved in the offense. It's just going to get more crowded when McColl comes back. So, of all those guys, I think Sky Moore is the odd man out. Even with all the other names playing, Justin Watson still seems to get a high snap share. So Sky Moore is usually the guy that loses out.
I think even if Kadarius Toney does play, he will be on a snap count because of the hamstring injury and him having this previously. So expect Sky Moore to play a lot more, especially if we get that big lead going into the second half.
What are some things that we should be expecting on the defensive side?
Sacks.
More than the 5 that we got last week?
Yeah.
All your shot.
I mean,
7 or 6.5. 6.5.
6.5. I'm not calling that.
Over under 6.5 then.
You know what? I'll make a call. Chris Jones ties or sets the new league record at home, either tying it or taking it from the late great Derek Thomas.
Eight sacks in one game.
I'm calling it. The man deserves it. He's trying to get paid by the Chiefs. He's trying to stay here for his career and not move on. That is the one thing that will get the Chiefs to have him sit down on Monday and sign a new contract.
There's hot takes and then there's things that won't happen.
What else? What are some other things we should be expecting? I know, Tybo, you said 3 turnovers. I like to see that.
I think, 2 fumbles. One of them is going to be a strip sack, probably, and then some pressure that forces an interception. I think the defensive line is going to have a heyday. The Rams have a lot of problems on the offensive line, and our defensive line is playing well. They're hot. They're feeling really good after the last game. And we should probably expect both Nick Bolton and Willie Gay to have over 10 tackles again.
I'm expecting a defensive touchdown. Don't know who that's going to be, but it's going to be a defensive touchdown.
What are some things that we should not expect from the Kansas City Chiefs this week?
We should not expect our defense to give up big plays. This is a third-string quarterback. He was undrafted. Don't expect him to do too much this week. Our defense is solid enough to step up and play against a team like this, and this is the type of game that they should come alive for and prove that they are a good defense.
Do not expect a slow start. Defense, offense, special teams, do not expect the Chiefs to fumble around and then turn it on. Expect us to come out of the gates hot and have to manage the game in the second half.
For the last 3 games, Patrick Mahomes has thrown the ball 34, 35, and 68 times. Do not expect Patrick Mahomes or the Kansas City Chiefs to get over 31 attempts passing the ball. This game will be put away before Patrick Mahomes attempts 20 passes.
All right. I like that call.
So what are we not expecting there?
For Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball.
I see. I see.
What we usually
do
see
not
from
expect him to have 68 pass attempts.
Don't expect him to have 35. If this game is put away, like I said, if this game is put away with around 20 passes, I don't think Patrick Mahomes gets near 30. We're just going to continue to feed Isaiah Pacheco. Maybe he gets 35 touches.
Don't expect Ronald Jones to get a whole bunch of touches.
Don't expect him to get any.
I wouldn't say not any.
Yeah. I'd give him a few. The game's out of reach.
Especially if the game's out of reach. I would expect Rojo to come in and probably tote the rock 10, 12 times. Who should we be watching this week?
I'm going to be watching one offensive player right now. That is Noah Gray. I loved how they had the 3 tight end set last week a lot. Coming up into it this week, why not get him more involved, especially if we're up big? Get some of the lesser known names out there, start catching the ball, get some more confidence with them, and build it up right before the playoffs. Now, on the defensive side, what are we going to say?
My player to watch on offense was going to be Jody Fortson, but now I can't say that again because
you can.
tight end.
We're going to be running 3 tight end sets again, I'm sure.
On the defensive side, I'm looking at Brian Cook. Juan Thornhill is over here, limited participant with a calf injury. Don't know if he's going to play a whole lot, but look for Brian Cook to have a major impact at some point in this game.
I'm only going to be watching Jody Fortson. Even when he's on the sideline, I'm going to bring my binoculars to this game and spy him the whole time. I'm only watching Jody Fortson because he's going to make spectacular plays when he is involved. And I guess on defense, let's watch Justin Reed.
He's a fun watch.
He's a fun player to watch. He's always around the ball. Reminds me of Honey Badger when he was here in his first year. I would have to. Oh,
so I'm gonna disagree with you just a little bit. Honey Badger, we probably had the last year of his prime, but prime Honey Badger is one of the best safeties to play the modern game, man. Justin Reed doesn't quite fill those shoes, in my opinion. Now he's better than Tyrann Mathieu in this last year. I will take this year's Justin Reed over last year's Tyrann Mathieu, no problem. But we need to keep an eye on him in this game because, like Sean's saying, Thornhill's out. Justin Reed's going to have to command even more rookies on the field, get the guys in the right spots, and make sure the right coverages are being called and executed. While also filling gaps in the run game on the outside. He's always crashing down on the edge to halt the pursuit, make the running back cut back inside, stall the running back even if he doesn't make the tackle. He's impacting the outside run game a lot on this defense. So without Juan Thornhill, and he's probably going to have just a little bit more on his mind. So let's see if he steps up or, falters.
Offensively, I'm going to take a page out of Sean's book from last week. Give me Isaiah Pacheco. He's going to have himself another 100-yard game. He's going to definitely get himself in the end zone at least once. I don't know if he catches any balls yet. That's still to be seen. I got to see it. I know he can do it. We've seen it done in practice. I'd like to see it done on the field. Defensively, let's keep our eyes on the one and only Trent McDuffie. He walks away with his first interception in this game.
All right, call your shot on Pacheco then.
Pacheco has 20 carries, 125 yards, and a ton.
All right, I like that. I'm a little less optimistic about that. I think he's going to finish with about 93 on 16 carries.
Okay. Well, let's go here really quickly to our keys of the game.
Starting off with my keys to the game for offense over here. We're going to have to get out and attack early. Plain and simple right there. Get out, go for it. And the big thing that we want to do for this game is rely on the run game. We're going to get out to a big lead, let the running backs carry us the rest of the way home. Defensive key of the game over here. Don't play to their level. This is a third string quarterback. Terrible offensive line. Come out and try to shut them out. Plain and simple.
So for the offense, I alluded to it earlier, but our middle three linemen, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, they have to win the battle against Aaron Donald. If you minimize Aaron Donald's effect or Aaron Donald's impact on the game, you're probably going to beat that defense. He's the guy that can swing the game in his favor when he chooses to take over a game. So we need our big boys up front to minimize his impact, and we should be pretty good. For defense, Sean said we should not expect them to give up big plays. So our key for the defense is just playing sound, mistake-free football. Do not give up those big plays. Do not blow coverages. Don't give this team any hope that they feel like they can compete with us in Arrowhead. Just make sure we're playing sound gap control football. And it also goes a little bit onto Spag's plate. Don't leave rookies on an island against their number one receiver. Let's just start with that.
Offensively, I'm going to say it's consistency. Just making sure that we're consistent in the way that we're blocking, consistent in our passing, whether that's checkdowns or, just making sure that we're consistently moving the ball and not getting caught in these third and long positions. Just consistency across the board, getting everybody's job done. Defensively, aggression. Most importantly, aggression on that front defensive line portion, getting in the backfield 1 yard deep, look for the ball and get to the ball. But really just being aggressive, manhandling that banged up offensive line, the awful offensive line of the Rams, and getting back there and putting some touches on some dudes.
Touching dudes.
Touching dudes. Dudes touching. Well, let's get to our predictions as we wrap this one up here. If you guys did follow us in our NFL show the other day, I did win last week, so that means I get to choose where I go. I am going to go last. Since Tybo lost, that means he is going first.
Ooh.
Tybo, let's get your prediction.
We're actually going to drop 40 points this week. 49, all touchdowns. We're about our business this week. 49-10.
Blowout.
Big blowout.
We're going to go 38-6.
Big blowout. I am going to go 37-12, all field goals.
God damn it.
It's going to hit. It's got to hit. One of these times it's got to hit. 37.
As we get later into the season, if you're not playing in a dome, it's going to get harder and harder to hit.
Well, folks, we go against the Rams at home. We were hoping that this was going to be a good one this year, and the Rams have just failed us, everyone, including their own fans. We're sorry for that.
I have one question for you about the pick'em. I know we didn't mention it, but I saw the spread earlier. You just want to go ahead and say what the spread was?
I believe when I saw it earlier today, it was 14 points.
I saw it somewhere else, probably not the same site, but it's 15 and a half.
15 and a half.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, from a sports book that shall not be named right now, the spread is 15 and a half. Kansas City is favored. It's sad day in Los Angeles for both the teams that reside there. We play at 3:25 as a kickoff in GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Make sure you check us back out next week on Wednesday as we bring you our post-game review. We hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And as always, go Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs!